What's up, everyone? I'm Lord Nikon for Clan ZTF, and this is 7 Days to Die, the survival horror first-person shooter crafting game developed by Fun Pimps. I started playing this game right around the end of July, and I made this video to show you all something I've been working on. Now, the inspiration for this building came shortly after I recovered the power tools, and I realized that fighting the hordes of a ruined world with the help of a drill and a chainsaw pretty much made me Edgar from Final Fantasy VI, and I decided that if I was going to be Edgar, then my home base of operations in this game would have to be Figaro Castle. This was a pretty intimidating project to work on, and when I first started building it, I wasn't even sure if I could actually replicate this castle in the game. And I started to wonder that even if I could replicate it, would it be structurally sound when I was finished? When I finally did finish working on it, I decided to make a video of it to show you guys around. This castle, it took about 9 weeks in total to build, and the biggest reason for that is it was built entirely by hand, meaning it was built on a dedicated server with materials that we dug up ourselves on normal difficulty with zombie spawning turned on and creative and debug mode turned off. I only turned them on towards the end when I started adding decorations and such. And luckily I didn't have to go in blind when I was building this. I used the sprite maps from the actual Final Fantasy VI game, which I found hosted over here at this website, fantasyanime.com. Very cool site. Definitely check it out if you're a fan. And I also took a lot of inspiration from this video over here, which is Figaro Castle built in Minecraft by Felix Trapper. Very, very helpful video, since, as he points out in his description, the inner-outer geometry of Figaro Castle is very heavily skewed and requires quite a few assumptions in order to make it into an actual building. Some of which I'll go over a little bit later, but for now, let's just head on inside. Now, the first thing you'll probably notice at the entrance here is, yes, these are double doors, and yes, they do both work. A lot of people are probably just going to be like, oh, well, you just edited a prefab. And no, I actually didn't know anything about prefabs until after this castle was finished. So the way I got these, if you look, I'll demonstrate here real quick. You can see I'm on the server right now, or that's, sorry, the map right now where this castle was first built, and you can see I do have ownership over this secure wooden door for the purposes of setting the password and locking it. And I don't have ownership over the other one, but that's just a side effect of the trick that I used to get these. And how I got them was by exploiting a game glitch, which I call the upgrade bug. And it takes some explaining, so I've got another video over here demonstrating exactly what the bug is and how it works. But the short version is that it works on any server, and as far as I know, it is the only way to get double doors into your prefabs without or double doors into your structures without using prefabs, sorry. I really wish I didn't have to use an exploit to get it, but until the Fun Pimps make some changes in the code, I'll take what I can get. So if we head on inside here, you can see that the red carpet on the floor is actually redwood planks. And I'm aware there is an actual red carpet block, and one of the many changes I'd make if I ever sat down to rebuild this in creative mode is to use that block instead, but seeing as redwood planks were the only red-colored block I had, craftable red-colored block I had access to, here they are. So if we head down the stairs here on our right, we can get to the prison. You can see the desk and chair. Behind us we have some cardboard boxes for storing mining equipment, since the cell on the far right over here opens up into a mine. And when I first created this castle, since we've moved in, we've added quite a few extra pieces of storage and some other decorations, but when I first built this, I only put a cardboard box wherever a wooden crate would show up on the sprite map, and I only placed a storage chest wherever a treasure chest would be on the sprite map. So, back up and down to the other side, and this takes us into the switch room, which is in Final Fantasy VI, where you go to pull the lever that sinks and moves the castle. I couldn't find anything craftable that I liked, to use for the Switch, so I just kind of threw a torch down there. And I have some cardboard boxes here that just have various leftover pieces of things that I used when I was building the castle. Head down further here and get to the storage rooms. See another desk and chair. Oops, left this open. And you can see storage chests in there, and if we head down this hallway, we can get to the engine room. Now, I didn't have a plan for what I was going to use for this room when I was first building this castle, so Zerum and Tiki Man have since converted this into an armory, a place for us to keep our forges and, you know, store our bullet parts and gunpowder, and various other things that need to be cast into ingots. And if we go to the secure tungsten door at the end of the hallway here, which is mine again, you can reach the treasure vault. I didn't have a suit of armor to place into the treasure vault, so I just decided to use a gun safe instead. Figured to be a pretty good place to store all the different molds, or all the guns that we use, and ammunition, and just various other tools and things that are hard to come by. Down here actually wound up being one of the first rooms that I filled in. And building underground was surprisingly easy. It was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be, and I have a couple screenshots of what it looked like before it was filled in. I can throw them up here so you can take a look at them while we head back upstairs. Alright, you can head out this way, and over to the left. The doors open all over the place. And you can see in here, of course, is the guest room. We've got the beds, we've got the table and chairs, cardboard boxes for storage, and the fireplace. I was a little disappointed, actually, with how this room turned out, because it's very cramped. And I can't really see spending a lot of time in here, even with the fireplace, because probably just going to add a bunch more cooking fires into the armory below. We can head downstairs here, though, and out this lower exit. And over to the master bedroom. Now, this place was one of the many places where I had to take a lot of liberties with the layout, but I was pretty happy with how this one turned out. We can head up here and you can see the fireplace and the storage chest for keeping fuel, fridge to store some extra food, and tables and chairs, and the master bed. And behind it is my sleeping bag. And a storage chest over here just to keep various things I might need for when I go out scavenging. And we can head up the stairs in the back here and get to the roof, where you can see the turrets and the crenellation that I added, just to kind of make it look nicer. And we can also drop down over here, get back to the main castle, and head on over into the library. So, you can see in the library here, we have the bookshelf block that was added in Update 9. I was very, very happy to see this block because when I first started building this castle, I honestly had no idea what I was going to put in this room, and I originally was just planning on dropping a bunch of filing cabinets in here, but thanks to the Fun Pimps, I didn't have to do that. I was so happy with how this room turned out. And we just used this room to store books and paper that we turn into dynamite and shotgun shells, and also all the various other crafting books that we might need, and a place for our schematics. So we can head back down this way and get to the other lower exit. Take us over to the guest suite. This is another area where I had to take some liberties with the layout, so we head inside here. You can probably tell that this room is much smaller than the structure it's sitting in, so there's a lot of unused space in this wing, purely for the sake of making it look as close to the sprite map as possible. This is where Tiki Man wound up moving in, so of course he's got his freaking couch over here in the corner. There's a that couch. We can head back up top here, and head back over to the main castle. You'll notice I deliberately set the crenellation like this so that you can jump up and down from these rooftops, so you can get back and forth from these wings without actually having to leave the castle, which is something you can't do in Final Fantasy VI. Head through another set of double doors here, and this takes us into the main hall, which is looking sadly sparse because I had no idea what I was going to use for the suits of armor that show up here on the sprite map. We have the two storage rooms off to the sides here. The left one we've since converted into a pantry, a fridge for us to store our food, and boxes for goldenrod tea, and bottled water, and various other canned goods. Basically anything that's edible, we put into this storage room here. And the other storage room is just kind of a general storage area. What Netmog likes to call the nature box. So it's our animal hides and our cloth and any plants that aren't edible, and feathers and such, and oil and gasoline, a first aid chest, and a place for us to keep our wood. Now, this room, we're pretty high off the ground right now in this room, and this is the first place I started having structural problems. So if you look up at the ceiling here, you can see I reinforced almost the entire roof with wooden posts that I have set as cross beams. They're pretty safe to walk on this ceiling now. I haven't really had any problems with collapsing since I did that. So we can get on down to the last set of doors here. This takes us into the throne room. This wound up being one of the last rooms I built, and I was pretty happy with how this one turned out. You can see the columns here, the raised ceiling just to make it look a little bit more open, and the cross beams to stop it from caving in on us. And I picked the two comfiest chairs I could find in the game to use as thrones. Although I suppose there is enough room up here that I probably could have built thrones out of plywood if I really wanted to. And just some extra torches up there to kind of pick up the lighting a little bit. Head back out here, and we have a set of stairs on either side of the throne room going up. More support beams up there, and this takes us to the roof. Now, look over, we can take a peek over the edge here. You can see we're really high off the ground now, and I really started to have a lot of structural integrity problems when I got up here, to the point that the very first block I set at the top of the stairs here just immediately fell to the ground. So I have another set of screenshots for what this looked like before it was all filled in, and you can see that basically every block up here is held up by wooden posts that run the full height of this from the ceiling of the throne room. I also brought up either side of the throne room here just to give me a little bit more room to walk around. So these two sides here on either side of where the thrones sit is basically empty space. I could probably build into that later if I wanted to, but for now I just wanted to keep it as close to the original as possible. That's pretty much everything. I do have this castle set up as a prefab now, and I also have a prefab XML file that spawns it in a Navasgane map, pretty much in the middle of Spillway Lake, about where you can see it here. I actually think it moves it over to the right just a little bit, because if you look, you see where my bed is on the left-hand side there? That wall sits right on the border of a region. So I got pretty lucky when I first built this, that I didn't cross that region boundary and wind up losing half the castle to region resets at night. And I got some links to those in the description, so help yourself, and I hope you enjoy them. Before I finish up, I want to give a very huge thanks to Zerum for hosting this map for the god-awful length of time it took me to build this castle. And I also want to give a huge thanks to Tiki Man, Agapachai, and Splat for digging up the iron and other raw materials that we used to build this, and for cooking the cement and cobblestone to fill it in. That pretty much wraps this up, so I'm Lord Nikon for Clans ETF. Thanks for watching, and stay alive!